Dr. Lee studied the angle and intensity of the blood's impact. He concluded the blood hit the mattress at an angle of 10 degrees, meaning it came from an individual leaning over the bed or kneeling. The blood was moving through the air at medium velocity, consistent with an injury caused by a blunt object, and there was a 6-inch blood smear on the side of the mattress. The bathroom towels had been washed recently, but Dr. Lee tested them with an orthotolidine solution. The blue areas proved the towels had been soaked with blood.
The next issue, of course, a human body cannot just vanish in the air. A body has to be someplace.
But there was no body, no weapon, and no witnesses. Police needed more to go on. So they looked for any unusual events that might somehow be connected to Helle Crafts' disappearance. It led to an important break. It snowed the week of Helle's disappearance. A snowplow driver reported seeing a wood chipper on a bridge about 3:30 in the morning. A man briefly appeared, wearing an orange poncho. He saw the same wood chipper again on River Road about an hour later.
I said, well, take this man to the location, to the exact location where he saw the wood chipper.
It was here, where the Housatonic River runs into Lake Zoar. Police searched the riverbank. All they found were a few mounds of wood chips. But when they took a closer look, they found a piece of an envelope. It was mail, addressed to Miss Helle L. Crafts.
They were just laying there, you know, and I thought, good Lord, you know, I didn't even think too much about how the chipper came into play at that point until we started finding a lot of hair. That was when I remarked to my boss, you know, I said, you know, if he did what I think he did, it's time for me to retire.
Police spent days sifting through the dirt and debris along the riverbank. In addition to the letter and blonde hair, they also discovered a few blue fibers, a gray piece of metal, what looked to be some tiny bone fragments, and another piece of evidence which just appeared.
The sun had melted the snow away from this wall, and right against the wall, laying right on top of the leaves, a painted fingernail.
Divers explored the bottom of the river and found pieces of a chainsaw. Even more unusual, the serial number had been scratched off. Everything was taken to the State Police Forensic Laboratory in Meriden, Connecticut.
Because any investigation involves so many specialty areas, that's why we start calling in forensic team.
By now, the story was front-page news around the world. Richard Crafts was a suspect, but he maintained his innocence, saying he didn't kill his wife, he didn't know her whereabouts, and that he had passed a lie detector test. But the forensics might tell a different story. When Dr. Lee convened the first meeting of his forensic team, he knew they faced a difficult task.
They need either that piece of paper from me that says somebody's dead, or occasionally a huge pile of evidence to convince them.
To identify the individual became a scientific challenge.
They began by examining every notch of the chainsaw and found some human hair, tissue, and a minute piece of fiber.
In size, it was barely visible with the naked eye on the cutting edge of the chain.
The fiber was a bluish-green cotton, the same color as Helle's favorite cotton nightshirt, and it matched other blue fibers found at the river. But since the serial number was scratched away, it was impossible to tell who owned the chainsaw, or was it?
By using a particular chemical solution, that will eat away the upper layers of the metal that have been altered by the water or by some physical attempts to alter the serial number.
It worked. The serial number on the chainsaw, 5921616, It matched the warranty card sent in by Richard B. Crafts. Next, forensic experts wanted to find out whose hair was on the chainsaw and at the river. Every one of the 2,660 hairs was examined under a microscope.
A lot of the hairs had been cut, but not cut with the scissors.
Did it belong to Helle Crafts?
So we have to find some known hair to compare. Basically, we use our hairbrush.
There was a characteristic that is somewhat unusual for head hair, and that's a ridge that was present in the head hairs.
They concluded that the hairs found on the chainsaw and at the river were microscopically similar to the hair from Helle's hairbrush. Next, they turned their attention to the fingernail with the bright red nail polish. A chemist compared it to a bottle of Helle's fingernail polish found in her home, analyzing the various organic compounds. These graphs show that the polish on the fingernail found at the river is the same as polish taken from the bottle found on Helle's nightstand. Good forensic work determined that the fingernail polish and the hair were both similar to Helle's, but they couldn't prove she was dead.
I received a phone call from Dr. Lee asking me if I would come and take a look at these little pieces of what he thought to be bone, and he wanted me to see if I could identify them in any way.
Dr. Lee suspected that the bones found at the river had gone through the wood chipper Crafts had rented.